guys, welcome back to another episode of the IELTS Clinic. It's me, your girl, Intentional Favor. So guys, today we'll be looking at the multiple choice question type in the IELTS reading test. So this is one common question type to expect in your test. Most definitely you will see the multiple choice question in your reading test. And whether you are doing the academic test or the GT, definitely you will come across this. What I'll be doing in this video is to give you all the tips and all the strategies you need for you to do well in this question type, for you to find it very easy, things that you need to watch out for on your test day. As you may know, the multiple choice question requires you to choose the correct answer from a list of options, just like the one we are seeing now. This is the most common type, the one that you have to choose an answer out of 4 options. That's the first type. Then the second one is the list selection. That one you'll be given list of options and you'll be expected to choose 2 or more answers. So you choose 2 or more answers from up to 5 options. Like in this case now, the one directly on the screen that you can see, you have to choose 5 answers from the list A to K. That is another multiple choice question type. However, in this particular video, after giving the general tips that you need when it comes to the multiple choice question, I'll go ahead with us to answer these questions here, because I chose this one in particular because they address some of the things that I'll be giving you, some of the tips, some of the tricks you need to watch out for. We will look at them practically with this question. So many people have been asking me about the general training. For instance, this is an example of academic training, but like I've said in a previous video, there is no much difference between the academic reading and the GT reading. The only thing is that the passages you'll be given will be different, but the question types are the same. So whether you are writing the academic test or the GT test, you will still come across questions like this. The only difference is that it will be a different text. I hope that makes it clear. But in this clinic, I'll still make sure that because I've seen some interesting GT reading texts that are quite unique in a way, and I'll take out time in one episode to look at them, and we'll answer them together for those that are preparing for the GT test. But whether you are preparing for academic test or the GT test, all the tips I'll be sharing right now, you will need them because you will definitely meet the multiple choice question type in your test. Another thing that you need to know about the multiple choice question is that the question can also come in 2 different forms. It can come in 2 different forms. The first one is one that will require you to complete a sentence, more like the sentence completion. It's similar to the sentence completion question type. The only difference is that you will be given options. So this is a typical example. The second one is the one that you'll be required to answer a question. Usually it's like WH question. Who is this? What is this? Then you see question mark, then you'll be given options to choose from. So this one we have right in front of us, as we can see, is the one that will require you to complete a sentence. So moving on, guys, let's look at the tips that you need when it comes to the multiple choice question type. What are the strategies you need? Need not I to tell you that you should read your question first before reading the passage. By the way, this is a continuation of a lesson. Like I've talked about most of the tips for the general reading in separate videos. I'll leave the links in the description box in case you've not seen those videos. But if you actually need details, like all the videos on IELTS Clinic when it comes to IELTS preparation, I have a playlist on my channel titled IELTS Clinic. Just go there, you'll see all the videos from where we started the listening test and so on and so forth. You just see everything there. Go ahead and check out that playlist and you will really be glad you did. So you need to read the question first before reading the passage. Don't make the mistake that people make. They read the passages. After reading the passage, then they come and read the question, and at the end of the day, they will go back again to read it so that they will find their answer. I consider that a waste of time. It's a waste of time. You just have 60 minutes to answer 40 questions, and if you are doing the academic test, you find very long text, 3 of them, that you need to read alongside. So I've said it before and I'm saying it again just for emphasis. Make sure that you read the questions first text before reading the passage. So when you read the question, you know what you are watching out for. You know what you are expecting in the passage. So don't make the mistake of reading the text first before reading the question. I hope that is clear enough. Now, secondly, you need to watch out for tricks. Definitely, as always, IELTS will always trick you in so many ways. For instance, you will see options that appear to be the answer, but they are not. They're actually not the correct answer, but they will seemingly look like the answer. They will look like the answer, but they are not the answer. Watch out for that. One particular one to watch out for is, maybe seeing some matching keywords from the option to the text. So when you see the option, for instance, the damage caused to US golf courses and golf players by lightning strikes. When you go to the text, you will see a part of the text that, some of the keywords you see in these options are there, and they may be around the question, and you might think those are the answer. That is not it. Always remember that you should read and understand both your question, both the answers, both the sentences. Make sure that you read them and understand them in context, and not just by looking at the keywords. Most times, IELTS will paraphrase their questions. It won't be the exact thing, but in some cases, you might see options that you will see the keywords directly from the text. That doesn't mean it's an answer. It's a trick, and you need to watch out for that. All right. So also take note of qualifying words like always, all, sometimes, few, some. All these, they make a lot of difference. They make a lot of difference in an option. We'll see that. I think one of these questions address something like that. Another trick is the first part of the sentence appearing to be correct, whereas the second part will change the meaning. Yes, I'm going to show you that in this. I think question 2. Yeah, question 2, there is a typical example of that in some of the options there. So when you read the question, the first part of the option, and you don't read it entire, you don't read everything, you find out that it might change. This might not be a typical example, but one thing that you will know is that, because IELTS definitely, they know what you want. You just want to find the answer to your question and move on. They know that you are trying to beat time. So they can trick you by making the first part of the sentence, making it to appear like the answer. Once you just read it, oh, this is the answer. But if you read to the end, you will now see maybe some conjunctions like but, however, nevertheless, then the sentence will complete. You find out that they have tricked you. So please make sure that you read the whole sentence. Read every sentence. Don't just read the first part of it and feel that that is your answer, because towards the end, just a word might change the meaning, and that makes the answer wrong. So watch out for that particular trick. Also, remember the elimination method I once talked about under the listening test. I don't know if you remember it. Like I said, go ahead and watch the previous episodes on listening and all the episodes in IELTS Clinic. You really find them useful. It is handy in the reading text also when it comes to the elimination method. As far as it is a multiple choice question, you will find it very, very handy. So what it entails is you eliminating options that are incorrect, obviously incorrect. Just eliminate them. You just know, oh, this answer is wrong. You've already known that obviously this is wrong, then you eliminate it. And one thing to do is to do what? Cross it out. When you cross it out, you'll be able to make decision with the remaining one. So maybe you found out that out of the 4 options, you found out that option A and B, for instance, they are out. They are not the answer. So you have just C and D to decide. That way, you will narrow down your decision making to just 2 options, okay? And mind you, when you are doing that, make sure you cross it out, because like the next tip I'm going to give you, which is the fact that you shouldn't dwell so much on one particular question. Please don't do that. Don't do that. So if it's going to take you a lot of time, just move on. I've always said it, move on. So by the time you move on to the other questions, because you wouldn't want to waste your time there and you miss answering other questions. If at the end of the test, you find that you have time, you still have time to go through the others, when you come back, what will happen? You find out that you have already crossed out 2, so you know the ones that you are making decision on. So eliminate it by crossing it out. It makes it easier. And if the 2 options that you can see there that they are confusing you when it comes to making decision, all you need to do, one good approach I'll give is for you to do what? Put the options in your own words. rephrase them, put them in your own words, and try to read meaning into that. That way, you'll find the difference between them and you can easily make your decision. And don't forget, if you cannot find the answer, make a guess, then move on. Between the two, option C and D, for instance, just think which one do you think is the most correct one. Just make a guess. Remember, there is no negative marking in IELTS, so nobody will fail you because you chose the wrong answer. The only thing is that you have failed it and it will not reduce from the ones you got correct. Okay, so make a quick guess, then put a mark on it that you might come back to it in case you have time, then move on. Don't waste time on it. So a guess is not bad, so do not even get anxious, do not get worried because you feel that you are not finding the answers, you are not getting the correct answers. Always make a guess, highlight it, then you should do what? Move on. And remember, I said it in my previous video, you must not know all the answers. You should know all the answers and you can know all the answers, but you must not. So don't let that discourage you. Don't get discouraged, don't get worried, don't get overly anxious, don't panic in the exam hall when you find out that maybe question 1, 2, 3 you don't even know the correct answer. You just made guesses and you moved on. Don't worry, you mustn't know everything, okay? So just move on. So always remember, another thing for you to take note is that answers are in the same order as the text. So when you find an answer in a particular place, maybe before, maybe question 2, what that means is that question 2, the answer to question 2 will come before the answer of question 3. So they are in order. I've talked about this in my previous video. Another thing I'll say at this point is, as much as possible, try and know why an option is wrong. It's also a trick for you to find that will help you to find the correct answer. So using the elimination method, remember, when you now rule out that this question is wrong, make sure that you, as much as possible, know why that question is really wrong. Because sometimes you might think it is wrong, but it is right, okay? So if you're able to find in the text that this is what makes this particular option wrong, it will make you to know of certainty, you know definitely that this question is wrong. So if you can find a way of making sure that any option that you eliminate, make sure that they are what? That they are wrong. Make sure you find a reason why you will justify that answer, like that decision you made, that particular option is wrong. So guys, let's go ahead and tackle these 3 questions right in front of us. It's actually an academic text and it's really from the previous one I used in my example during the last episode, you remember. So this is a multiple choice question, remember. And the first question is, the main topic discussed in the text is what? What is the main topic? Because remember I said when you're answering during your reading test, make sure that you read the question first before going to the passage. You don't necessarily need to read the whole text. I said it and I'm repeating it again. So guys, this is our first question, right? Let's go and look for the answer. Let's go and skim through. But we know that this question is talking about the topic discussed. And every reading text in IELTS, we always have a topic. Like we always have a heading, rather. It will have a heading or a topic if you call it that. So it will have a heading. So this is just trying to tell us what is it all about. So at this first time, because if you really want to know everything, what it means is that you should go and read the whole text, right? But like I said, you don't necessarily need to read that. But you can actually find out the answer to this question by looking at the heading of that and maybe reading the first few paragraphs if time will permit you. All right, so the main topic discussed in the text, what is the main topic? And this is our text right in front of us. Striking back at lightning with lasers. Striking back at lightning with lasers. And these are the options. The damage caused to US golf courses and golf players by lightning strikes. The effect of lightning on power supplies in the US and in Japan. A variety of methods used in trying to control lightning strikes. And a laser technique used in trying to control lightning strikes. You can see there's one common thing in all the options except option B, lightning strikes, okay? So what is the main topic that was discussed here? And our heading is striking back at lightning with laser. So you can see lightning still there. To be honest with you guys, if I'm to choose from these three options, I think the one that is closer, look at the heading again, striking back at lightning with lasers. And we have option here, the damage caused to golf courses and golf course by this, but I don't think it talks about the lasers, which is striking back. So the effect of lightning on power supplies in US, no. A variety of methods used in trying to control lightning strike. This looks appealing, yeah, this is close to the option, but look at option D, a laser technique used in trying to control lightning strike. Now look at option C and D. Both of them are talking about in trying to control lightning strikes. That's the ending part. Can you see? In trying to control lightning strikes. But option D specifically talked about laser as a technique, a laser technique used in trying. But C talks about a variety of methods. And the heading says striking back at lightning with lasers. So I'll go with option D, and that is actually the correct answer. I don't know if you get the trick with which I arrived at this answer. So option C and option D, they obviously talked about the same thing, kind of, but you can see what distinguished them. Option C is general, talking about broad option. Yeah, so methods that are used, the techniques that are used to control, trying to control lightning strike. But option D was specific, and that is what the heading also talked about, striking back at lightning. So striking back at lightning, so controlling lightning is more like let's strike back at lightning. And what is used to do that? Lasers. And that gives us option D. I hope that is clear enough. Let's move on to question 2. Question 2 says, according to the text, every year lightning does what? What does lightning do according to the text? Every year. Take note of that, every year. So lightning can do so many things, but like maybe there is something about it every year. So you can now read through our first paragraph. Remember, the answers come in order. So seldom is the weather more dramatic than when thunderstorms strike. The electrical fury inflicts deaths or serious injury on around 500 people each year, blah, blah, blah. As the clouds roll in, a leisurely round of golf can become a terrifying dice with death out in the open. A lone golfer may be a lightning bolt's most inviting target, and there is damage to property too. Lightning damage cost American power companies more than $100 million a year. A year. Oh, it cost them. And the question is what again? According to the text, every year lightning, what does lightning do every year? You can easily say, oh, lightning every year, that the damage from lightning costs American power companies more than 100 a year. Yeah, that is like what will come to your mind. But look at the options. Does considerable damage to buildings during thunderstorms, kills or injures mainly golfers in the United States, kills or injures around 500 people throughout the world, damages more than 100 American power companies. So you can see that it's not even talking about the cost now. It's just talking about the general thing, and we can read that. Now, look at the tree. Look at option C. If you read option C and you read some part of this that talks about killing 500 people each year, that is 1 year, all right? Each year, you can say, oh, that is the answer. It kills 100 people each year, right? But that's that thing I said about making sure that you read the whole sentence. The option says kills or injures around 500 people throughout the world. But it says that it does that in United States alone. Can you see that, guys? In United States alone, that's the only place it does that, not in the whole world. But the options talked about throughout the whole world. That makes option C incorrect, and we do what? We cross it out. It kills or injures mainly golfers in the United States. Where did he talk about golfers here? Yeah, out in the open. A lone golfer may be a lightning bolt, most inviting target, all right? Yeah, but look at the option. It talks about kills or injures mainly golfers. Mainly. No, that's another word. That makes it correct. It's not mainly golfers that it kills in US. No, not only. That is say mainly. That mainly makes it absolutely out of it. Okay, so because he said that a loan offer may be is not certain. All right. Then we have does considerable damage to buildings during thunderstorms. So where did it talk about damage to buildings here? Then there is a damage to property too, right? There is a talk. So you can see that that is an answer. All right, is an answer. But let's look at option D. Damages more than 100 American power companies. Where did we see that here? It didn't tell us how many power companies it damages. So, but this option is so sure. It is so confident that it is 100 American companies. But remember, according to the text didn't tell us the number of American companies. It only told us how much it cost them per year, which is $100 million. So that leaves us with option A being the correct answer. It does considerable damage to buildings during thunderstorms, and there is damage to property too. So it damages buildings during thunderstorms. That is the correct answer. Okay, then let's go to option 3. Researchers at the University of Florida and at University of Mexico, what do? What about them? Researchers at the University of Florida and the University of Mexico. So look at our text now. We'll look for University of Florida. Can you see there is none of that? You can see researchers here in this second paragraph, but it has nothing to do with University of Florida or the University of New Mexico. So look at where we can see University of Florida. Can you see that here? So it's telling us that the technique survives to this day. What technique? That will make you to go ahead and read from the first from the paragraph, the idea of forcing storms and all that. So the technique survives to this day at a test site in Florida run by the University of Florida with support from the Electrical Power Research Institute, EPRI, based in California. Okay, so what are our options? Guys, don't forgive me, I'm trying to rush it because I don't want this video to be just too long. All right, so researchers from Florida, the options we have here is about funding, about technique, about their employment, whether they are employed by commercial companies, and whether they are in opposition to each other. So let's look at receives funds from the same source. So when it comes to University of Florida, we can see that they told us something about their funding, right? Remember, you won't see the exact word. Learn your synonyms and how to paraphrase. So it says that the University of Florida with support from the Electrical Power Research Institute. So that means they fund them, they receive support from them. That is like talking about funding, right? With support from it. So it has told us something about their funding, right? Okay, yeah. Then when it comes to technique, it also told us about the technique they use, right? The technique survives to this day. What technique? Forcing storm clouds to discharge their lightning on commands. So that is their own technique. So it told us something about their technique too. Note that, remember, we are still considering University of Florida. So what else does the text tell us about Florida? Employed by commercial companies. Did they tell us anything about being employed by commercial companies? No, I can't see anything like that here. That's another thing to show you that, okay, University of Florida, there is no information on that. So that might likely tell us that option C is invalid. They are in opposition to each other. Well, based on what we've read so far, we can't see anything telling us that they are in opposition. But let's read on. So let's look for where we can see University of New Mexico. Aha, so this is University of New Mexico. Do you see where it is? So, and anyway, who would, from this paragraph here, and anyway, who would want to fire streams of rockets in a populated area? What goes up must come down, points out Jean Claude Dels of the University of New Mexico. Dels, so University of New Mexico, Dels is leading a project. Okay, since Dels is from University of Mexico, this is about University of Mexico. So Dels is leading a project which is backed by EPRI. Can you hear that? It is backed by, that means they are supporting them or they are funding them either way. And what about University of Florida with support from Electrical Power Research Institute, EPRI? So we can see that both University of Florida and University of New Mexico, they receive funding, they are supported by EPRI. So let's go back to our option. Can you see that they receive funds from the same source? This tells me that this is my answer. However, if you're not so sure of this, because I think if you followed me how I've been analyzing this, these are the ways that you can get your answer. And you can see that I didn't go and read all the texts. I'm just skimming through and dictating where my answer is, then I'll go back and read carefully to be sure of my option. So when it comes to technique, are they using the same technique? Let's find out. Remember the technique that the University of Florida uses about forcing storm clouds to discharge their lightning and all that. What technique does these people now use? Okay, so Dell is leading a project which is backed by EPRI to try to use lasers to discharge lightning safely. This is a technique that they are using. Use of lasers, which is even what our the whole text is all about. Using lasers to fire back at lightning to control lightning. So you can see they don't have the same technique. Their own is the use of lasers, but for University of Florida, theirs is about using forcing storm clouds to discharge their lightning. But these ones, they are using what? They are using lasers. Does that make sense, guys? So you can see the answer is obviously correct. And when it comes to employed by commercial companies, we did not see any details about that, any information on that at University of Florida. So there is nothing in common. Even if New Mexico is employed by commercial companies, obviously we don't know about University of Florida, so that option is invalid. Then whether they are in opposition to each other, though maybe when we now read on, we can now see if there's any way they told us specifically. Don't assume and don't think, oh, this is what it should be since they don't use the same technique. For instance, they are in opposition. No, you have to make sure that the text clearly says that they actually are in opposition, or find a way of seeing it in the text that there is maybe a sentence or a phrase that connotes that. So guys, I think we've come to the end of this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Also subscribe to my channel, please, if you have not. And don't forget to share this video. Leave comments in the comment section. Do you still have questions? Are there things that are not so clear to you from this video? Do let me know, and I'll be seeing you guys in my next video. Until then, stay blessed, remain intentional, and take care of yourself. Bye.